Hi everybody. Today we're going to use the LT40 Wood-Mizer to cut some lumber here. To orientate ourselves with the sawmill, let's start here at the control panel because this is where a lot of the major parts are that operate the mill. For starters, this is the key. This is where we start the motor. And over here, this is the clutch that engages the cutting head. Up here, this is for the debarker. Debarker is a carbide-tipped blade that turns and scores a line before the actual cutting blade. And all this does is it just cleans up any of the dirt and the debris that may be in the bark, which may dull our cutting head. This here is for adjusting our blade guide arm. And this blade guide arm just determines the width of cut that the bandsaw is going to make. Next, on the right, this controls the height of the blade. So this lever right on the right is going to control the tape measure. Essentially, the blade is tied to that tape measure and controls the depth of cut. Over on the left side, this is what moves the sawmill. So this is kind of like putting your car in drive. And here on the right, this is like the gas pedal. So those two controls work together in order to move the sawmill forward. At the top, this is the simple set works, and this is a control used for if you're cutting a lot of consistent sizes. You can program the common sizes of lumber that you cut, the common thicknesses, and then just push the button and the blade sets automatically. So let's get ready to cut some lumber. So we fire the mill up, and next I'm going to go down to the hydraulic controls. This is the panel of hydraulic controls. And in order to get the log up, first I'm going to put the guide arms up so that the log can be supported when it's lifted. Then I'm going to go to the log loader. So here I am lifting the log loader. You can see to the left across the bed rail, there's some orange arms standing up, and that is to stop this log from rolling over the other side. So the log was up, kind of got stuck there. Sometimes you have to roll it over into place there against those guide arms. Now before I put that log turner back down, I'm just worried for safety that that log might roll off the other side. So here this lever is going to put my clamp up. You see the clamp coming up? I don't have to clamp the log tight, but I put the clamp up just so that it doesn't risk rolling off after I put the log loader back down. So there's the log loaders out of the way. Put the blade guide arms down just a little bit. And then now I'm putting the clamp, just getting it in close into place. I'm thinking about the positioning of the log. There's a slight oval to it. And so to maximize the cut, I'm going to take my cant hook here now and just roll it slightly so that it's in the best position for me to maximize the most out of this log. So now I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to clamp that log in place. My guide arms or my supports on the side are down because as I'm cutting, obviously I don't want to hit any steel because that's going to damage my blade. I've adjusted the blade guide arm out, and I'm using the blade on that side as my tape measure, but then I like to check the far end with the tape measure. Just because of the taper in the log, I get a sense on if I start my cut here, what's it going to look like. What I noticed is there's a lot of taper, so I'm going to lose a lot of my log on the slab. So here I've just moved the roller up. There's a hydraulic roller which helps to level the log a little better. And now when I measure, I can see how I brought the cutter head back up. I can just take a little bit more even-sized slab. So I've moved the debarker into place because I want to make sure that I'm not damaging the blade. I've gone here to check my tension, so you can see there's a pounds per square inch scale, and I'm just adjusting it until I get to 2,800 to 3,000 pounds per square inch. That's the tension I need on the blade so that it cuts evenly. Now I'm going to hit the clutch, put the mill in drive, give it the gas, move my blade guide arm out to the appropriate location, turn the debarker on. Sounds like a lot of stuff, but it's really, once you get doing this over and over repetition, it's just common practice. That's the order we go in. right there over my left hand. I'm not sure if you could see me reaching, but I was reaching for that jug of water. A lot of people think that's to cool the blade, but it's not. That is just to keep the blade clean. So in the winter, I'll keep a mix with windshield washer fluid in that just to keep it from freezing. But this time of year, when it's nice out like it is today, I just put soapy water in there, and that helps keep the blade clean. So especially cutting white pine like we are today, that will get a lot of pitch on the log, and the blades kind of really build up with pitch. So the soapy water just helps to keep it clean. Okay, so the next cut, I've gone down that scale. I'm cutting 1 inch or 4/4 boards. But right now, I'm just using the tape measure. So this means that that cut I'm making next is 1 inch and 1/16. So a 1 inch thick board is what I'm getting, and I'm losing about 1/16 of an inch to the kerf, or the thickness of the saw blade. I get to the end of the log, the end of the cut. I just shut the clutch off. I pull the board out. This would be a flitch. You can see those flitch boards have bark on each side. The fancy term these days are live edge, but in this case I'll be standing those up at the end in order to cut thin strips called stickers for drying the lumber. Okay, so now I'm loosening the clamp, making sure my supports are up on that side, and I'm using the log turner to turn the log. Okay, sometimes I might stop right here and clamp and just turn the log 90 degrees to get a square corner. In this case, I'm trying to determine a finished width, so I'm going to cut some 8-inch wide boards here. So I'm using the log turner to flip it around, and you can see for this size log, this is kind of a pain. Okay, so I'd have been a lot quicker to just get up, grab a cant hook, and flip this over. Okay, but that log turner, oh my goodness, if you get into a big log, that is the value of that log turner. It's big, heavy logs, it turns really well. This particular log turner has a bit of trouble on the smaller logs, but that's just to show you an example how it works. Okay, so my guide arms went back down a little bit, and my clamp is down just so that I'm clear of the log. I'm just double checking that finished side as the blade comes out to see where my finished cut's going to be. And that helps me just to determine where my first cut is going to be. Okay, I want to get about a 1/8 if I can out of this log. So I'm going to go, but if I can get some extra flitch boards to increase my board feet that I'll be able to saw out of this log, that's what I'm going to do. So there's my next slab off. You can see I just lift the cutting head a little bit because I don't like the blade dragging along the log. It's not critical if it does, but you just have to use caution if you're reversing and the blade is dragging, because it can sometimes pop the blade off of the band wheels if we're not careful. Okay, so now that I've got my finished width, I've used the tape measure to get a nice even 8-inch wide board. Now I've used the log turner to turn the log up. So I have my finished width now. So now I'm just going to go back and use my tape measure, because I want to try to maximize how much lumber I'll get out of this. I'm trying to get away with cutting a thinner slab on this and still not be wasting my time by cutting too thin of a slab. Okay, I use the roller again just to level things out so that I can kind of get the most out of that first cut. And I'm measuring along the bed rails just to check for consistency. Not all sawyers will do this, but I'm just being a little bit picky with this log because I want to just make sure I'm not wasting a cut. So once I've determined my height, I'm going to take this blade guide or the debarker off now, because now you can see as that sawmill starts into this, I'm not cutting bark, okay? It's clean on each side now, especially on the working side, which is that right side. I'm just cutting into clean wood, so I don't want the debarker on anymore. I'm done with that. It's only for those first cuts when I'm cutting through the actual bark. Okay, side number 3 is done. So there's my slab. Oh, it's a slippery one. Hang on to her, Tom. Okay, get that out of the way. We've got 3 nice clean sides now to this log. So next step, taking the clamp off, lifting up my guide arms, and that log turner is taking too long, which is often the case on a small log. I'm just grabbing my cant hook, and I'm going to roll once, and roll one more time. There we go. You can see I only have bark on one face left now. So this means I have the bottom is flat and sitting flat on the mill. I've got 2 finished sides, so I've got my predetermined width now. I've got an 8-inch wide cant. Okay, here's a little error. I got caught sleeping at the wheel. I forgot to put the roller down. Remember, we had that hydraulic roller, and what's going on? Right, there it is. I forgot to put that down, so it's not clamping properly. So there, I dropped that down. I had it pushed up too high because now the side supports are down. There's only a small tab of steel that's going to be clamping this log. Okay, so this log can be clamped, and I can now finish 4/4 boards, 1-inch thick boards, and my very last cut, the blade will only be 1 inch off of the bed of the mill. So with that roller up, I just wasn't able to clamp it properly. Okay, so previously we've been using just the regular tape measure, but now, so here's the regular tape measure, the yellow side. Okay, and I was using that, considering the kerf, until I got down to an 8-inch wide board. But now, to finish these boards, I'm going over to the gray scale here. This is the quarter scale, and you've got the 8, 6, 5, and 4/4 scales. Okay, 8/4 is a 2-inch, 6/4 inch and a half, 5/4 inch and a quarter, and 4/4 is a 1-inch board, all considering the kerf. So when I'm cutting a 4/4 board, I'm not setting my blade at 1 inch, but I'm actually setting it at 1 inch and a 16th, or sorry, 1 inch and an 1/8 intervals. But it takes all that nasty math out for me, so that now I just have to start at the nearest 4/4. So that's what I'm doing now, is setting the cutting head to the nearest 4/4 that's going to make a slab. I'm going to cut through there, and I'm going to square this log to a cant. And there we go. Get that slab out of the way. And now I have a cant. And the rest of this is pretty straightforward. Now all I'm doing is following that 4/4 scale and just dropping it down line by line. So here we go. Now we're producing pure 1/8 white pine. Because the controls are so quick on a hydraulic mill, and if I don't have somebody tailing for me, I might just leave them as a stack. And zimp, look at we go. There's 2 boards coming off there. We'll just keep on going until this last 2 boards are cut. Our final cut is only an inch up off of the bed, and we're done.
That's my video.